What if I told you that your pain is not the problem? That what's truly destroying your peace isn't the hardship you're facing, but the way you've been taught to react to it? We live in a world obsessed with comfort, a society that teaches us to chase ease, avoid discomfort, and medicate every difficult emotion. We're told that happiness comes from outside, more money, more recognition, more control. But what if that's the lie that's making us miserable? Over 2,000 years ago, a group of thinkers discovered something radical. They believed suffering itself isn't our enemy, our reaction is, and that within every storm lies the seed of our greatest strength. It's not a self-help trend. It's not a positive thinking trick. It's a way of life. Stoicism, a philosophy forged in the chaos of ancient Rome and Greece, not in some peaceful retreat, but in the battlefield of everyday life, loss, betrayal, injustice, death. And yet, its practitioners learned to face these trials with a calm so powerful, it seems almost inhuman. Not by suppressing emotions, but by mastering them. Not by escaping hardship, but by walking through it with clarity and strength. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who buried children, fought wars, and faced plagues, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't just philosophy, it's armor. For your mind, for your life, for this modern world that thrives on chaos. So let me ask you, are you tired of being hijacked by stress, by other people's opinions, by things you can't control? Are you ready to take your power back? Then don't just watch this video. Challenge it. Sit with every idea. Let it provoke you, irritate you, awaken you. Because every moment in this video is a mirror, showing you not what the world is doing wrong, but what you can do right. So stay with me until the end. You might just walk away with a mindset that no one, not your boss, not your ex, not even life itself, can shake. 1. Master the inner citadel. Focus on what you can control. There's a quiet tragedy that plays out every day, in traffic jams, in awkward conversations, in late-night scrolls through social media. We get angry, offended, frustrated. We curse the rain, the algorithm, the people who don't see things the way we do. But what if I told you, none of these things are actually the problem? The real problem? We've given away the steering wheel of our emotional life to the external world. We let events we cannot control dictate the peace we can. The Stoics saw through this illusion thousands of years ago. Epictetus, once a slave who became one of the greatest teachers of Stoic thought, put it plainly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Imagine this, you're stuck in traffic again. You're running late. You keep glancing at the clock, heart racing. Horns blare around you. It feels like everything's conspiring against you. But here's the truth. None of that stress is coming from the cars. It's coming from you, more precisely, your resistance to what is. Modern psychology backs this up. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." And that's the turning point, the choice. In a world flooded with uncontrollable variables, economic swings, social opinions, other people's behavior, Stoicism offers a radical liberation. Focus only on what's within your control. Your thoughts, your actions, your response. That's it. Let that sink in. You can't control the rain, but you can dance in it or curse it. You can't control a rude comment, but you can decide whether it touches your core or bounces off your peace. You can't change the past, but you can write the next line of your story, starting now. This isn't about being passive. It's about reclaiming your agency. The Stoics call this your inner citadel, the part of you no one can touch unless you open the gate. Marcus Aurelius, in the chaos of ruling an empire, wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And he meant it. Strength doesn't come from control over the world. It comes from self-mastery within it. So the next time you're frustrated, anxious, or angry, pause. Ask yourself the question that every Stoic lived by. Is this within my control? If it's not, release it. Let it go like a stone dropping into still water. If it is, act, not react. This practice, simple yet profound, doesn't just reduce stress. It reshapes your reality. It gives you back the keys to a life not driven by circumstance, but by character. And here's the deeper truth. No one can take your peace unless you hand it to them. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to flip another belief on its head. The idea that obstacles are bad. What if your worst day is actually the beginning of your best? Don't miss it. 2. The obstacle is the way. How hardship becomes your teacher. We've been lied to. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that obstacles are interruptions. That pain is a detour. That setbacks mean we're off course. But what if that's completely backward? What if the obstacle is the course? Marcus Aurelius, a warrior emperor writing in the quiet hours before battle, discovered a truth most people still ignore. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Think about that for a moment. He wasn't speaking metaphorically. He lived it. He lost children, fought plagues, carried the weight of an empire. And yet, instead of collapsing under the burden, he let it forge him. Because in Stoicism, obstacles are not punishments. They're invitations. Every rejection is a redirection. Every failure is a forge. Every heartbreak is a classroom. But that's not how we're conditioned to think. We recoil from discomfort. We ask, why me, when life breaks our plans? The Stoic doesn't ask, why me? The Stoic asks, what is this here to teach me? Let's make it personal. Say you've just been turned down for a job you really wanted. You feel defeated, maybe even ashamed. But stop. Take a breath. Step back. What if that no isn't the end? What if it's feedback? What if it's preparing you for something greater, or sharpening the very skills you'll need to succeed next time? This shift in mindset doesn't come naturally. That's why it's powerful. It turns life into a training ground instead of a war zone. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once said, "What you resist persists." The more you fight your pain, the more it controls you. But when you accept the challenge, when you look it in the eye and say, "Teach me," something changes. You become active, not reactive. You become stronger, not bitter. Obstacles aren't just walls. They're mirrors. They reflect who you are when it's hard to be who you want to be. And if you dare to lean into them, to learn from them, they become the very path to your growth. Another example, personal conflict. Maybe you've been misunderstood or hurt by someone close. It's tempting to shut down or strike back. But what if this tension is asking you to evolve, to practice empathy, to refine your ability to stay grounded when emotions run hot? This is what Stoicism trains us for, not a life free from struggle, but a mind free within it. Epictetus once again said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And reacting with wisdom requires reflection, not reflex. So the next time life punches you in the gut, don't just survive it. Ask, what is the lesson here? What strength is this revealing? What version of me is this calling forth? Because when you stop seeing the obstacle as the end and start seeing it as the invitation, everything changes. The obstacle doesn't block the path. It becomes the path. Stay with me, because up next, we're going to explore something even more subtle, yet profoundly life-changing. The forgotten art of living in the present moment. And it might just be the one thing you've been running from your whole life. 3. The present is all you truly own. We live everywhere, except here. Our minds are constantly replaying what happened, or rehearsing what might. We lie awake reliving past conversations, obsessing over tomorrow's deadlines, trying to control outcomes that don't even exist yet. And in doing so, we miss the only moment we ever truly have now. Stoic wisdom warns us of this mental exile. For them, presence wasn't some new age luxury. It was the core of living wisely, meaningfully, and freely. Marcus Aurelius, amidst the crushing weight of leadership, wrote, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." This wasn't poetic advice, it was survival. He understood that the only place we can think, act, love, create, or breathe is this moment. Everything else is imagination. But let's be honest, it's hard to stay present in a world that profits from our distraction. Endless notifications, never-ending to-do lists, a culture that equates stillness with laziness. So we chase time instead of inhabiting it. We eat without tasting, talk without listening, scroll past beauty, blink and miss entire days. And yet life only happens here, not in the someday of our goals, not in the what-ifs of regret. Carl Jung put it beautifully. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Meaning only emerges in the present moment, in the quiet joy of sipping coffee, in the laugh of someone you love, in the breath you're taking right now. Aristotle, too, believed that to live well, to reach eudaimonia, a state of flourishing, we must act with virtue in the moment. Not someday, not when we have more time. Now. So what does it look like to live in the present? It starts with awareness. When you eat, eat slowly. When you listen, listen fully, not planning your reply. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you hurt, let yourself feel without rushing to fix or numb. This is mindfulness, not some mystical technique, but a return to attention. And it's powerful. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." He understood what modern neuroscience confirms today. The more present we are, the less anxious, more joyful, and more grounded we become. Even pain becomes bearable when we stop resisting it and simply witness it. But here's the challenge. The present is often uncomfortable. It asks us to slow down, to feel more deeply, to face what's actually going on inside us. And that's why we avoid it. But what we're really avoiding is life itself. Because everything, every laugh, every connection, every breath is unfolding now. If you blink, you miss it. So I invite you, don't just be present because it's good for you. Be present because it's the only place life truly touches you. Because this moment, right here, will never come again. And if you can return to it, over and over again, you'll find that peace, joy, and clarity aren't out there somewhere. They were here all along. Up next, we dive into a principle that will test you, stretch you, and transform your life's direction. The quiet power of self-discipline. Not punishment, not perfection, but the inner fire that makes freedom possible. You won't want to miss it. 4. Self-discipline. The bridge between who you are and who you could be. Discipline. It's a word that makes people cringe. We imagine strict routines, early alarms, a joyless grind. A life with no spontaneity, no pleasure, no fun. But that's not self-discipline. That's punishment. Real discipline isn't restriction. It's liberation. It's not about saying no to life. It's about saying yes to the life that matters. Self-discipline is choosing alignment over impulse. It's delaying the sugar rush for something sweeter, self-respect. It's shutting the door on distraction so your deeper values can finally speak. Marcus Aurelius, who led armies and nations, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's discipline, inner strength practiced in silence. In a world that worships comfort, choosing what's difficult on purpose becomes an act of rebellion, a quiet revolution of the soul. Think about it. You could binge another show tonight. You could scroll for another hour. You could swipe your life away, one notification at a time. But what if instead, you chose to invest that time in your craft, in your health, in your character? That's not punishment. That's you building yourself. Seneca, the master of wise restraint, reminds us, no man is free who is not master of himself. True freedom isn't doing whatever you feel like. It's the ability to feel a temptation and still choose what's right. Modern psychology echoes this. Aristotle believed excellence is not an act, but a habit. And today, behavioral science confirms identity is shaped by consistent action, not occasional motivation. Every time you wake up early to work out, every time you walk away from a toxic conversation, every time you choose growth over ease, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. It's like building a muscle. And yes, it's hard, but so is being stuck. So is regret. So is watching your potential slip away because you couldn't say no to temporary pleasure. Carl Jung said, to live fully, you must integrate the conflicting parts of your psyche. That's what discipline does. It brings the fragmented pieces of your will into harmony. So how do you build it? Start small. Pick one promise to yourself each day. Keep it. No fanfare. No applause. Just integrity. Over time, this becomes your foundation. A quiet, unshakable self-trust. The kind no one can give you, but no one can take from you either. Epictetus reminds us, no great thing is created suddenly. Discipline is a journey, a practice, a quiet forge. You will stumble. You'll have days when the old patterns win. But every time you get back up, every time you say, I'll try again, you're becoming someone stronger, someone clearer, someone free. So ask yourself, are you living in reaction or in intention? Are you drifting or directing? Because in the quiet space between temptation and choice, that's where self-respect is born. And that, my friend, is the soil where greatness grows. Up next, we'll step into the emotional storm and learn what it means to feel deeply without being consumed. Emotional resilience isn't about being tough. It's about being grounded. And the Stoics were masters of this inner strength. Let's explore how. 5. Emotional resilience. Feel everything but be ruled by nothing. Let's face it, life is emotionally brutal sometimes. You get ghosted by someone you trusted. You receive criticism that feels like a punch to the gut. You wake up anxious for no clear reason and carry that tension all day long. Being human means being emotional. There's no way around it. But here's the real question. Will your emotions drive your actions, or will you learn to steer from the inside? That's what emotional resilience is all about. Not pretending you're fine when you're not. Not burying your feelings under a fake smile, but allowing yourself to feel fully, without letting those feelings dictate who you become. Marcus Aurelius, no stranger to grief and war, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This includes the events happening inside your mind, your emotions, your urges, your internal storms. Emotional resilience is the ability to say, yes, I feel overwhelmed right now, but I won't let this moment define me. It's what allows you to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse. Seneca, wise and unflinching, viewed life's hardships as tests of character. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. He believed emotional pain, grief, anger, disappointment wasn't something to fear, but something to study, to use, to grow through. But how? It starts with one word: awareness. Modern psychology agrees. Emotional resilience begins with being able to name what you feel. Not judge it, not suppress it, just recognize it. I'm angry. I'm scared. I feel rejected. Naming an emotion separates you from it. It creates a small space, and in that space, you regain your power. Aristotle called this the golden mean, the ability to feel emotions without falling into excess or deficiency. Anger, for example, isn't evil, but ungoverned rage, destructive, and total suppression, equally harmful. The goal isn't to be emotionless. It's to be anchored, Like a ship in a storm, you still sway, you still shake, but you don't drift, you don't break. So what does this look like in real life? Imagine you receive harsh criticism at work. Your gut reaction? Defensiveness, maybe even shame. But instead of lashing out, you pause. You acknowledge the sting. You breathe. Then you ask, is there truth here I can grow from? Now you've turned pain into power. Or say you're grieving a loss of a person, a relationship, a dream. Resilience doesn't mean getting over it. It means sitting with the grief, letting it speak, and allowing time to reshape your pain into wisdom. Carl Jung reminds us, wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration. That includes our sorrow, our fear, our longing. Emotional resilience is a quiet superpower. It doesn't shout, it doesn't flex. It simply allows you to stay centered when the world tries to pull you apart. So next time a wave of emotion hits, don't panic. Don't numb. Ride the wave. Study it. Learn from it. And remember, you are not the emotion. You are the sky. The storm will pass. The sky remains. Coming up next, we're going to face something most people avoid. Death, and how remembering it might just be the key to truly living. Stay with me. The next truth may change the way you see time, purpose, and every breath you take. 6. Memento Mori. Remember death so you can truly live. What if I told you that the key to living more fully is remembering you're going to die? Sounds morbid, doesn't it? Uncomfortable, heavy, maybe even cruel. But to the Stoics, Memento Mori wasn't about fear. It was about focus. Not about death, it was about life. Because when you truly grasp that your time is limited, everything shifts. The petty arguments, the endless scrolling, the waiting for one day dreams, they all fade into perspective. Suddenly, every moment becomes precious. Every conversation matters. Every breath is a gift, not a guarantee. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, meditated on this often. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He wasn't being dark, he was being awake. Most people live as if they'll live forever. They delay forgiveness. They postpone their passion. They keep waiting for some mythical right time to truly begin. But death isn't a maybe, it's a when. And in that realization lies freedom. Seneca saw this clearly. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." To him, the tragedy wasn't dying. It was never really living. Never daring, never loving openly, never saying what needed to be said. Memento Mori isn't meant to depress you. It's meant to ignite you. It whispers, don't wait, don't waste it. Live today in a way that would make death proud. Think about it. That message you've been meaning to send, that trip you keep postponing, that passion you've buried under fear. Why are you waiting? The truth is, we all have an invisible clock ticking behind us. And the most tragic thing isn't that it's ticking. It's that we act like it's not. Epictetus reminds us, keep death in exile before your eyes every day, and you will never have a base thought nor an excessive desire. It sharpens our choices. It humbles our egos. It awakens gratitude. Because when you realize nothing is promised, not even tomorrow, you stop sleepwalking. You stop living for approval. You stop postponing peace. You start living now. So how do we practice Memento Mori without becoming morbid? Not by obsessing over death, but by letting it guide us toward what matters. You wake up in the morning and remind yourself, this day is not guaranteed. And then you live accordingly. You tell people you love them. You put your phone down and look someone in the eye. You let go of what no longer deserves your energy. And when pain comes, when life feels unfair, you remember, this moment too is part of the fleeting miracle of being alive. Memento Mori is not about fearing death. It's about living in a way that, if death came tonight, you'd nod and say, I'm ready. I lived well. So pause right now, not to mourn, but to awaken. Because you're still here. You still have time, but you don't have forever. Let's use that truth, not to be afraid, but to be alive. Up next, we'll explore the mindset that makes this awareness even more powerful. Gratitude. Not a cliche, not a list, but a radical way of seeing that can shift the entire fabric of your life. You won't want to miss it. You've just walked through the first 6 principles of Stoicism. Not passively, not casually, but with presence, curiosity, and perhaps, if you've let it reach you, something stirring deep within. Let's take a breath and reflect. 1. Control what you can. This is where it begins. The quiet, revolutionary idea that while the world may be chaotic, your response is yours. You've been given the wheel to your inner world, your thoughts, your choices, your reactions. And once you truly realize that, you'll never see traffic, criticism, or uncertainty the same way again. 2. The obstacle is the way. You stopped asking, why me? And began asking, what now? Every setback became a classroom. Every pain a portal. Life didn't stop testing you, but you stopped running from the test. Because the Stoic knows, adversity doesn't block the path. It is the path. 3. Live in the present. No more drifting through your days like a ghost chasing tomorrows or reliving yesterdays. You remembered that now is the only place life ever truly touches you. You slowed down. You listened. You tasted. You lived. 4. Self-discipline. You began choosing growth over comfort, integrity over impulse. You saw that discipline isn't self-denial, it's self-respect in action. And every time you honored your higher self instead of your lower urges, you were building something far more powerful than a habit. You were building identity. 5. Emotional resilience. You realized that strength isn't the absence of emotion. It's the ability to feel deeply without being ruled. Anger, fear, sadness, they no longer hijacked your mind. You could ride the storm without letting it sink the ship. 6. Memento Mori. You looked death in the eye, not to shrink, but to wake up. You felt the urgency of life, not to panic, but to focus. No more wasting time on the trivial, the petty, the performative. You saw clearly, you are mortal, and that is your power. Now take a breath. You've made it through 6 pillars of ancient fire, forged not in books but in life, tested by emperors, slaves, and philosophers who lived through plagues, wars, and heartbreaks far worse than our scrolling fatigue. But this isn't the end. This is only halfway. Because here's the truth. Inner transformation doesn't happen in a single step. It happens through devotion, through integration, through continued practice. In part 2, we go deeper. You'll uncover the power of gratitude, not as a mood, but as a muscle that rewires your perspective. You'll reclaim your self-worth from the opinions of others. You'll learn to ride the tides of change, not fight them. You'll awaken compassion, not just for others, but for the flawed human within. You'll be challenged to live not just with excellence, but with honesty. You'll stop asking for permission to be yourself, and simply be. And finally, you'll learn to reflect, not to judge yourself, but to realign with your truth. Yes, this video may be long. Yes, life is busy, but so is your mind, so is your heart. And this journey, it's not a distraction. It's the manual you were never given for being fully alive. Movie camera, so pause if you need to. But don't stop. Click part 2 when you're ready to go from understanding to embodiment. From ideas to identity. From watching others live with depth to doing it yourself. This isn't a video series. This is your life rewritten. I'll see you there. And if life feels like it's spinning out of control, then this isn't just another video. This is your wake-up call. You have 2 choices. Keep drowning in emotions, expectations, and fear. Or rise. Take control of your mind. Live like a true Stoic. Hit subscribe, not just to follow a channel, but to step into your power. to become the version of yourself that nothing and no one can shake. If you've ever asked, why do I feel so lost? Share this video, because someone out there is asking the same question, and they need this just as much as you do. Stoicism is not theory, it's armor for the soul. And you, yes, you deserve to wear it.